Okay, I just finished reading this book, Becoming Elizabeth Elliot by Ellen Vaughn, and it was good enough that I wanted to do a video to recommend it to you guys. I just thought my heart was soaring as I was reading this book, and so I would like to recommend that a lot of you read it too. Elizabeth Elliot, many of you may know who she is already. I knew her name, I didn't know a lot about her. She became famous in 1956 when she went to Ecuador with her husband. She was only 30 at the time, and they were traveling there to be missionaries. And they were trying to reach a tribe that had not been reached before. It was known for its extreme violence. And in 1956, her husband Jim, Elizabeth Elliot's husband Jim, and four other men were speared to death as they were trying to make contact with this tribe. And so that really made Elizabeth and the four other widows at that time quite famous among Christian communities. But what really made Elizabeth famous, or maybe infamous, depending on what your opinions are about her decision, she went back. She went back 2 years later. She now had a 3-year-old daughter with her, and she went back and contacted that tribe and ended up living with them for 2 or 3 years in Ecuador. And these were all very, very hard times in her life. These were very difficult decisions for her to make. She truly believed she was following in obedience to God. And so this book tells about those years, and it tells about the development of Elizabeth Elliot's faith into something that was um, so deep, so deep. And that's what by the time I was getting to the end of the book, I loved how the author Ellen Vaughn described it, because I could tell Ellen understood it too. And it's so beautiful when you're hearing the words of people, other Christians who have had experiences, and they're able to put it into words in ways that you could never put your own knowledge into words. And that's what I felt as I was reading this book. So when Elizabeth Elliot returned to the United States, some of you may know her because she wrote a lot of books. Like when she did leave Ecuador and came back to the United States, she wrote a lot of books. And some people love her and some people don't like her at all. But what you learn about her is that she was not interested at all in winning a popularity contest. She was interested in obedience to God, and that was her one focus in life, which is very inspiring. Um, I'm going to share a few quotes from the book that I loved. One of the quotes that this quote came from her time when she was going back to Ecuador. She said, "If duty is clear, the dangers surrounding it are irrelevant." I mean, think about that. When she was bringing her 3-year-old daughter with her into the jungles of Ecuador as well. And some of us, we may not want to obey simply because of maybe some social social fear of being an outcast or something, and she was actually willing to risk her very life. So I find that to be very inspiring. And sometimes, and she certainly did in her faith, early on in her faith, she really had this sense that God was leading her somewhere, like there was some summit to be climbed in her faith, and some experience to be had that she would sort of be led somewhere. And really, her personal experiences with the things that happened in her life sort of destroyed that idea. And here's her quote regarding that. She said, "He, meaning Jesus, leads us right on, right through, right up to the threshold of heaven. He does not say to us ever, 'Here it is.' He only says, 'Here I am. Fear not.'" And that's the message I got over and over again in the book, was just that she learned the deep understanding that knowing God himself is the prize. You may never understand why things work out the way they do, or why it even matters. If you're clear that he's asking you to do something that seems strange or hard, why would it even matter? That's not the point. The why isn't the point. Knowing him is the point. She does an excellent job, Ellen Vaughn does, of showing the development of Elizabeth Elliot's faith, which is important because, she wasn't some kind of icon of, never questioning doubt. I liked this little quote. It made me laugh. She said, where is it? She said, "I read somewhere," this is Elizabeth Elliot's quote, "I read somewhere that anyone who's not confused is very badly informed." She wasn't really one to joke around very much, but I did like that quote because life can be very confusing, right? When you're going through hard things, or when hard things have happened, and sometimes we don't always have an easy answer for those things. That doesn't mean that God has left you. Um, and just hearing somebody acknowledge this was good. So if you have been through hard obedience in your life, you will love this book because it will put words around what your soul has learned about God, and you will rejoice. And if you're going through a season of hard obedience, I think this book can be a great source of encouragement for you. I wanted to read this one thing from page 260 from the book. This is Elisabeth Elliot quoting. I believe with all my heart that God's story has a happy ending, but not yet, not necessarily yet. It takes faith to hold on to that in the face of the great burden of experience, which seems to prove otherwise. What God means by happiness and goodness is a far higher thing than we can conceive. So just acknowledging that it's not always got a happy ending right away. We can't always see the whys behind things, but we can know that God is faithful. God uses pain to teach us that He is truly sufficient. And even if we can never explain why things in this life have happened the way they have, we can know that we belong to God and that God is faithful. So I'll be sharing this book or talking about this book with my book club. I have a few ladies that we read books together, and this is the one that we're on this time. So it's always better talking it out with somebody else. I'd recommend get a copy of the book, get a few friends, read it, and talk about it together. I think you'll be happy that you did. Thanks.